Hey everybody, it's me here, Bing at Bang. So right now we're got this interesting stream right here. We are kind of keeping an eye on, we're keeping an eye on this whole situation. Hoping that things don't kick off, right? But one of the things that I found that was very fascinating was don't worry about that. One of the things that I found very fascinating was the fact that that I was on X and I found apparently Oprah is not, she has a private road that she has a private road. I just totally biffed that. Here we go. She has a private road that would help out the people who are in the lower areas here in Maui, and this is her private road right here, and she is saying, no, I'm not going to open it, so all the people that live down here are having to drive all the way around here because I mean, this is just what I can assume, right? I mean, I don't know. Maybe she's eating bonbons on the couch and she has no idea what's going on. Maybe she's like, yeah, but it takes longer. I don't know. Or maybe it's blocked by a bunch of trees that have fallen down. Maybe she doesn't take care of it. I have no idea. But it does look like she is just, allegedly, she's refusing to open the road and then making these, and the traffic here is insane right now because everybody's trying to get out and they got to get up here to get to higher ground. But I mean, at the end of the day, I'm hearing, you know, it's like a, you know, freaking 3 meter. I mean, come on, like. So I'm watching this. This is really interesting. So this is a live camera in Hawaii, in Maui. And it looks chill. It looks chill right now. I don't know. You know, you would go, what's the problem? Where is everybody? What is it? What does this one look like? Nothing insane. There's nothing crazy going on here. But I guess you just don't, I guess you don't know till it actually happens, right? Or things start going crazy. Yeah, until things start getting a little nuts. I guess you start to see the, and I don't know anything about this, to be honest, so I'm just kind of assuming. But I'm thinking that that it kicks off real quick, you know. That it kicks off quick. But I wanted to just kind of... I have no idea what I wanted to do. Okay. It's really hot in this room. So, here we are looking at a chill beach. Like, I want to look more into this real quick. Let's see. Let's go here. Let's go to... So that's kind of weird. Like, why would she want to do that? Why would she want all those people's blood on her hands? So Hawaii's news leader for breaking news and severe weather. They are saying nothing. Apparently, that's what I'm saying. The magnitude of the is strong or intensity. It makes you want to go. Is this some kind of conspiracy? Oh, here we go. See, she's trending now. You get what? 0% tax. You get Oprah CEO official. Yeah. So here's the whole thing about her. These are what the poor people. Let me mute this real quick. The alarms were sounding there in Hawaii on that post a second ago. Yeah. The only other route, high ground, Oprah's road. Wow, man. I mean, this is not going to work out too good for her if she decides to just... Yeah. Why don't they just use the road anyways? I like what he's saying. Can't they just, like, you got to say, there's a point where you got to go, hey, man, I don't care. I will go around the gate, bust the gate down. I'm going up the road. It's better. It's a lot better than dying. Charge me with the crime, trespassing, whatever you want to do. That's fine. I'm okay with that. Oh my God, dude. If she had it blocked with armed guards. Whoa. Dude, that would be nuts. That would be super crazy. If she actually had her road blocked by armed guards. It's gated. Bust the gate down, bro. What are you talking about? What are we saying? Bust the gate down with your... How much the cars weigh? 4,500 pound vehicles. Duh. There is no real reports of this even happening. That's kind of what I'm wondering. Is this actually happening? Exactly. I doubt if Oprah's fat ass is going to be able to fight off thousands of panicked people fleeing disaster. True. I don't think she would. I don't think she has enough guards. But let's look at some of these posts. I mean, that's jacked up, right? How could you have one person dividing the entire, like, an escape from... You're on the coast. There needs to be Like, that should have been thought about whenever she bought this road. Like, okay, just so you know, if there's a national emergency, you can't just go, oh, well, nobody can go on it, because guess what? They're going to go on it and we're going to let them. Like, that's kind of messed up. Let's see. So there's a couple of things I want to talk about today. I mean, like, aside from this whole thing, I just wanted to jump on right now real quick because this whole thing is kicking off. And it's a big deal. This area, this thing right here can suck it. Yeah. Let's see if I can block that. There we go. Perfect. There we go. That's much better. So this. Wow. Okay, it's either one or the other. I see. See how we go. I see what we got going on here. There is no in between. All right. And 3 meters. It's just 3 meters, guys. It's just 3 meters. Let's see. That's like what? 9 feet? Like, why? Okay, one of the things I'm wondering is they're talking about the west coast of California, or the west coast of the United States, or California being like, there's a potential of it coming here, and I'm like, really? I mean, I don't know. I don't know much about tsunamis, though, so there's a very good chance that it could come here. Oprah's to blame, man. Oh, she better pray to little baby Jesus that me in Maui drowning in the tsunami after Oprah said I can't use her private road.
Don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. Don't do this to me.
She's like, hey, look, man. Sorry. It's my road. Oprah has a border. Yep. And this is one of the people that's talking about, like, letting everybody in. Letting everybody into the United States. Here she is, blocking off people from leaving an area that they will die. Yo, let everybody in. Everybody, all the illegals, let them all in. Well, Oprah, hey, listen, real quick. We need to use your road so we can escape potential death. Hell no. Okay, now y'all lost your mind, because that ain't never going to happen. Because then you kind of close to my house. The irony. And all these people who are getting totally curse worded. Hey, all y'all gotta do is look at that one little blue line right there, and you know who to blame. That's all you gotta do. I bet you change your mind real quick. Look at all this traffic. Look at all this traffic, man. These people waiting to die, hearing an alarm. Listen to that. Yeah, that's the alarm that was playing earlier. So you in your car going about 3 miles an hour. So you in your car going about 3 miles an hour hearing this alarm. And I mean, like, to be honest, like 3 meters, it does not seem that high. I'm just verify. Wait, hold on. Let me ask, let me see. Let me ask Grok. I'm going to duplicate this real quick. How high? I'll be like, Grok, How high is the wave? Is a tsunami? I don't even think, is that even called a tsunami? Tsunami. I don't even know if I spelled that right, but I'm imagining I did. I think Grok can figure it out. How high is the tsunami in Hawaii supposed to be after the Russian earthquake? Hopefully I spelled all that right. If I didn't, then I will look like an idiot. Let's see. 1 to 3 meters. 9 feet. A long tide level. That might change some things. Hawaiian Islands were noted as potentially experiencing waves up to 9 feet above tide level. Okay, so however, specific wave height predictions for Hawaii varied by location, and the first wave was not necessarily expected to be the largest. For example, the northwestern Hawaiian Islands were noted as potentially experiencing waves up to 9 feet above tide level. What does that mean? Can you give me for real-time updates? Like, okay, well, okay. What does above tide level mean? I mean, I can assume what that means, right? For the height of a tsunami wave measured above the current tide level at a specific location. Wave is predicted to be 3 meters above tide level. It means the wave's height is 3 meters above whatever the sea level would be due to the tide. Okay, that tells me nothing. It could be. Has there ever been a catastrophic of tsunami? Three meters high? I mean, like, you could surf in it. You could surf in it. Oh, here we go. 2011, Tohoku tsunami, Japan. While some areas saw wave heights far exceeding 3 meters, up to 40 meters in some places, coastal regions with waves around 3 meters still experience significant destruction, including... Okay, so it's still going to suck. 9 magnitude earthquake. Okay. In some regions, such as parts of Sri Lanka, India, wave heights were around 3 meters or slightly higher. These waves caused catastrophic damage, flooding, coastal... Man, that is nuts. 3 meters. Holy crap. Here's one. The Papua New Guinea, 2 to 4 meters. In some areas, killing over 2,200 people. Wow, that sucks, man. So it can be pretty, actually, crazy devastating. Okay, for context, even a 1 meter tsunami can be dangerous, but 3 meters often leads to severe flooding and damage, especially without adequate mitigation, like Oprah opening her road. So that would be part of the problem, but she probably doesn't care. So, we're just kind of keeping an eye on it. She does not. Maybe she's looking at the ocean going, it doesn't even matter, look at it. So I also wanted to talk about this whole Jeffrey Epstein thing going on right now. Because I feel like a lot of things are going on with these Epstein files that are kind of weird. Like, it doesn't make sense that I'm not suicidal, but I don't understand why Trump wouldn't just let open the files. It is very disappointing. And it's disappointing because Trump's like the first president that I feel like I have seen who has really defended the United States of America. And I just feel like there is something deeper going on that we don't know about. So to be honest, I can't advocate for him and I can't condemn him because I don't know enough information. We're all over the place. There's so much crazy shit going on. Oprah's private road. Oh, there it is. There's a private road. Look at that. People trapped just waiting to die. Monster tsunami. I don't know. I feel like that's a little bit of a... What are we looking at here? Okay, so... these buildings are obviously... They're obviously in big trouble. I'd go get some sandbags ASAP if I was them. I don't think that will really help, but it might make you feel better. Yeah, everybody's talking about that. Yeah, see, these fools, they're just going. They're just going on the road. Yeah, just go. Drive over that grass. Oh. See? It's kicking off again. It's kicking off again. That's the sound from this live view camera. I don't see nothing, bro. Birds chirping. The weirdest thing I see right now is just ain't nobody on the beach chilling. But hey, what are you gonna do? Alaska, California, Oregon. This guy, he's much more popular than me. Let me see if I can't get thirsty on this guy's
Green was
live
talking
feed.
about, because this is really the first time that we've gotten some real data in regard to impact
And he is
on
providing
this. So
some...
let's send it over to Ben Gutierrez
Wow.
at the First Alert Weather Center. Ben, how do we process and digest what the governor just said in terms of measurements?
Well, he's been talking about trough to crest, and of course, that is at the buoy over at Midway Atoll, which is, I'm going to try and zoom out here, and it is actually right, if we didn't have, hang on here just a second, because we've been working on trying to get some of the data to you. We're looking at, hang on a second, I'm just going to erase the satellite imagery. Honolulu is there, you can see that. And then we're going to try and put at least some kind of indicator as to where,
that's so much better.
The Midway is approximately, I'll just put
cover
it right about here or thereabouts. I've got two.
Don't mind that, guys.
The passes, yeah. So let's see. Hang on.
I just like to go back and forth every once in a while.
Zoom out a little bit,
just so we can see the labels.
All right, so they got the last alert.
He said something.
off to our northwest. That's typically where we see information from approaching
I thought he wasn't going to say
tsunamis.
anything,
And
so
one
I
of the
could just
reasons we are a little bit
hijack.
concerned about this is kind of the way that the seafloor works here in Hawaii. Unlike the continents, we don't have a continental shelf really that's right offshore. You don't see very shallow water really quickly. The Hawaiian Islands, of course, are formed volcanically.
You're welcome.
And they're essentially steep mountains in the ocean. So there's a very steep drop off into Pacific water. And
if you can come back to the Weather Center for just a second, because I think what we can do is show you a little bit. So here we have the map of the islands, and then farther off in the northwestern Hawaiian Islands, Drew, if you can like zoom out, we're talking about Midway Atoll, which is one of these islands here. And of course, the buoy there is the one that recorded the trough to crest of 6 feet. Now, again, what does that mean? It means that we do have at least a column of water that may be about 3 feet tall. That is in the open ocean because it is still pretty deep. Let's zoom back in on the Hawaiian Islands, and then we can show you a little bit of what we call the bathygraphy, which is like the opposite of topography, which is what you see on land. Bathymetry, rather, is what we have. So if you look at areas like Honolulu Bay, and we'll just go to a close-up, we can see, like right here at Honolulu Bay, it might be a little bit shallower over here.
YouTube channel?
And so that means that the energy is going to start coming in a little bit higher. And we do have another press conference right now. Mayor Rick Blangiardi.
Oh, we got another one.
Take the podium.
They're all coming.
Have already gotten to safe places. And the fact is, I would encourage you to keep watching. We'll try to update you as much as we possibly can. One of the things that's developed, we brought our team here, and I want Chief Vanek is going to speak to you in a moment, is that at 6:30 tonight, we begin a contract for the traffic to send everything Mocha. So any one-way streets headed Mackay, who can get on there and head Mocha. So if you know someone who's stuck in traffic, and we know
this loser's channel, I just look at it myself. Duh.
if you're watching us now, you know somebody who's stuck in traffic, okay, tell them they've got to be very careful because we can't have the lights. I don't know how many patrol officers we have out there to direct traffic. Be careful, but you can go out on a one-way street and head Malka. So with that, I'd like to bring up Chief Vanek.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Mayor.
All I have to do is
the first thing I'd like to say is just to echo what the mayor said is make sure you're listening to the first responders if they're giving you directions. Definitely if they're telling you to evacuate. If they're giving you directions to drive in certain directions, definitely follow their directions.
Just ignore that.
The next thing I'd like to ask and tell you is if you don't need to be on the roads, don't be on the roads. If you've arrived at a safe location, like if it's your house, a friend's house, a shelter, or just somewhere safe, stay there. And stay there until it's safe. If you don't need to be on the roads, don't be on the roads. Stay there until you get the all clear. And then finally, if you don't need to call 911, don't. Don't inundate the 911 system. We have a lot of officers out there. They're responding to emergencies. So if you don't need to call 911, unless of course it's an emergency, stay off the 911 system because we need our officers to be able to respond to actual emergencies and calls for 911. With that, let me turn it over to Director Roger Morton.
Yes, thank you. I know it's been a rough day on the highways today. The good news is it seems
for
to be
them,
we're
I'm
clearing
sure
a
as
little
hell
bit, but
sure it has been.
But since 2 p.m., we have been adjusting our traffic lights to facilitate Malcolm Mackay travel, and we're continuing to do that. In addition, HPD dispatch has been getting their officers to give directions right on the street. My message really is we're half an hour out from when we anticipate this wave to hit. If you're on an east-west
half an hour
highway, now is the time.
First wave arrival estimated at 7:10.
Be on high ground, and if you're not, if you have any
this is
doubt,
live too.
You need to get up Malka side.
You need to get out your car and run. You need to get out your damn car and run your ass across Oprah's freaking road, up the hill. Stop being dumb.
That's the message that we have.
It's half an hour. They're expecting this wave to hit. This is live as far as I know. I mean, it says live and I'm going with the live. Man, if it's half an hour, I would get out of my car. I would start doing some hiking. I'd be like, family,
police on
we got to do
downtown
some
areas
hiking.
are facilitating travel up. It's been a rough day. I know
If
it took a
nobody
long time for
knows,
people to get out,
Oprah
but now's the
is
time to
not
get the
allowing.
hike
Here,
out.
I'll pause this real quick just to like let everybody, just in case everybody doesn't know. Oprah is keeping her road closed. This is actually, this red right here is her road. Or this red right here is the road that they have, that all the people that are living right here have to take, because this little blue line right here, that's, you know, who knows how many miles, is Oprah's road, and she won't open it. I mean, that's just what I've been hearing. Is it alleged? Yeah. Like, but still, I mean, like, you know, it says breaking. Oprah is still refusing. Still. So that means she's already been asked, most likely. And it says still refusing to open her private road. The blue line from Whaley to Kula, Hawaii, preventing thousands of Hawaiians from escaping to higher ground to avoid the tsunami. So now they have to travel, probably, I would say, probably about five lengths of this in order just to get to high ground. Man, God forbid that actually something that this wave really causes a catastrophe right here for these people that are stuck here on this road. I mean, like you can see it right here. If we look, here's kind of like what the traffic is, and there's people just driving by the other way because they just clearly have no idea. They're like, what is all this traffic for? But all these, I don't know what these people are doing. Where are they going though? They going back. So apparently that's like kind of what the deal is with that whole thing. Oprah is real.
Aloha, Randall Collins with the Department of Emergency Management would like to reinforce inland and upward. Get to a safe zone. Get out of the tsunami area and get to a safe area. That is the number one message. The second message is to stay informed. There is one place to get accurate information, and that is at hnlalert.gov. There's no www, it's just hnlalert.gov in your browser. Not only can you get information there about the tsunami zone areas and where we have activated our tsunami assembly areas, you can sign up and stay informed as we continue to text out information and message information through that application. So hnlalert.gov. Would like to thank the mayor for his leadership. We have enacted or proclaimed a local state of emergency that has opened up all the funding and all the resources and all the decisions that we need to make sure that we can keep people safe. And so with that, I will turn it over to Dr. Ireland.
Good evening, Jim Ireland, Department of Emergency Services.
Man, I hope that nothing bad really happens. Because if you think about,
I want to thank all our paramedics, dispatchers, and EMTs.
if you think about 3 meters, it doesn't seem like much, but from the reading I've done,
plan for this type of scenario.
it could be pretty intense.
We'll stop potentially responding and may not be able to respond into the inundation zones as we get closer to the predicted wave arrival, and that time has already passed. So. For emergencies that are in the inundation zone or near the inundation zone.
First wave arrival estimated at 7:10 p.m. What time is it in Hawaii right now?
Potentially longer until we get the all clear. EMS has had a variety of calls today, just like any other day, but we've had, it seems like an excessive amount of traffic accidents. We had a critical accident.
We're looking at pretty soon.
As well as Pearl City. So just wanted to echo what the others said as far as just taking your time, drive safely, be careful, because we don't want to tie up ambulances and resources for preventable accidents.
Damn.
So be careful.
The Hawaii live cam's still going off in the alarm.
This is all good advice. But we're
You see how the...
really close now to the predicted wave time. So as we get closer, again, EMS may or may not...
See, the way, from my understanding...
My department has been very busy
Hold
since
on,
about 4 o'clock today.
Silence this fool. He's saying a bunch of stuff. The way that you can tell a tsunami is coming, from my understanding, is the wave actually starts to recede way back. So you see like this. I mean, the wave's still coming up to that point. It's not sucking back, but we'll have to see. We will have to see. Let's see what this guy is talking about now. You're welcome.
Accurate information can save lives, okay? So, as I've said repeatedly throughout the breaks today...
Yo, these fools still chilling on the beach. What are they? These people have lost their damn mind.
Please do that. Provide good information. What Randy said about HNL.
There is a giant wave that's going to be here in like 20 minutes.
So I want to caution everybody, because I've already seen some social media stuff out there. We're talking about a circumstance right now that we really cannot predict, but we know one thing for certain. If it hits, okay, it can affect lives. It's strong enough, the potential of that. We want you to be accurately informed. As you can see from what you heard in the state report and our city report, we're doing everything we possibly can to help you. So please,
except for opening Oprah's Road.
Don't be deceived by all kinds of stuff. Look to your sources here. And I promise you, we'll continue to update you, not just after the wave hits, if in fact it actually hits, or what happens throughout the night. Because just so you know,
Won't open Oprah's Road, though.
The wave is expected to be here 7:10 in Kauai, a few minutes after that on the island of Oahu. But we might not get an all clear for hours, because that's how these perform. March 11, 2011, that's exactly what happened. We were due at 3:17 in the morning, and at midway, it was a 6-foot wave. It was a 6-foot wave traveling 550 miles an hour. And we were not looking at a good situation. Tonight, they didn't talk about the speed, except we were being told by the civil defense people that this is going to be really bad. Okay, that was then. As it turned out, we had some damage. The waves came in, they receded back out, they went back in. They did it 4 or 5 times, and they kept telling us the next one could be big. We did not get an all clear for a wave that was supposed to hit us till 3:17 until 11 a.m. the next morning. So we don't know what kind of an evening we're in for, but you want to pay attention. You want accurate information. This could save your life. I promise you, all of us will do everything we possibly can to help everybody out there, but you also have to help
except for open Oprah's Road.
And one last time, okay? If you're anywhere near the water, get out of there. Get to high ground.
Just
okay?
don't
Thank you.
take Oprah's Road, because she will be pissed. Nobody's talking about this?
Yeah.
Like, why isn't anybody talking about it? Well, okay. I'm getting messages from Hawaii.
Well, I think that they want to go to HNL Alert, and we'll be talking to people at that. If all they have is cell phones, assuming they're not watching, they can't watch television, or maybe they have some kind of reception there, or to any of the station's websites, but stick with accurate information. And we'll keep you folks advised, too, as to what people should do. We're going to just, Lynn, in this situation, we cannot over-communicate. We all know that. We're going to try to do that as reliable and as a detailed way as we possibly can. So I know last time, because people did the same exact thing, and that's what we've been encouraging. People didn't come down from the mountain until after sunrise. A lot of people stayed up there. You want to stay until you get told that it's safe to come down. That's what I would tell people. Wait until you find out it's safe to come down, because as I said earlier, that last time on March 11th, if you remember, that tsunami was in Japan. It was the most televised tsunami ever, because it was daytime, cameras everywhere, and it was almost surreal watching what was going on. And so while I choose not to think about the worst happening, at this point in time, in this hour, I want to be as conservative
keep an
as
eye
I possibly can in the spirit
on
of
the
saving
other
people's
camera.
lives. So information is very, very important.
Just in case something kicks
Okay,
off.
We don't know what we're dealing with right now. Within minutes, we probably will, and we'll go from there, and we'll keep you posted. If you're in a safe place, stay there until somebody tells you to leave. Yes, ma'am.
Probably about, like, the live feed
Well,
video.
we're going to see what the extent of it is. I think, we've got everybody out there between HPD, our fire department, our first responders, EMS, Jim is here. We're going to be on full alert. I mean, we're going to try to do everything we possibly can. And you heard the governor say the same thing with all services here. We're all in this together in a moment like this. We will do everything
9
we have
feet high,
with the
though.
available resources we have
Like,
to respond the way people.
that's what I'm getting
hopefully
confused about,
respond.
is
That's
that
the best
there
I can
are
tell you.
waves
Right now, I'm
9
hoping
feet
for the
high
best. We're trying to
during
prepare
winter
for the worst.
in California
We're
all the
hoping
time.
for the best. Yes.
So what is the difference? What's the difference between a tsunami?
Yeah, I'll bring up Jim Island as far as.
What's the difference between a 9-foot tsunami and a
From
wave
our
that's 9
standpoint in
feet?
EMS, we have ambulances, ground ambulances, SUVs. So those are our tools. But I think in the earlier press conference from the governor, he talked about his air assets and the National Guard being on standby. And I can't speak for the Honolulu Fire Department, but they also have air assets. So
I'm finding this
when
out
we're
for
in a
us.
rescue situation, we have seen the air assets for lots of different agencies here and across the country, whether it's National Guard, Coast Guard, or the fire department, be able to do
'Cause this
rescues
is-
where ground vehicles can't get in. So besides what we have available to respond on the ground, there are those air assets for those other agencies, not ours.
Yeah, and I would like to add, I spoke to Admiral Reagan earlier from the Coast Guard, and they've deployed all of their assets out in the ocean. They're hitting around all the coastlines, and they're also going to be readily
Okay.
available, which is a great
All right,
resource
this
as
makes
well
sense.
to complement our other
I'll explain it here in a
resources.
little bit.
Anybody else, guys? Anybody here, anything else you want to add? Is there anything else?
Mayor, so Dr. Arlen said that they can't send their ambulance crews into the zone right now. Is that the same with HPD and with HFD just because of the danger to those?
Okay, so since we can't, like, whatever. So the difference between, if nobody knows what the difference between a tsunami and a 9 foot, like 3 meters, okay, whatever you want to use, 9 foot tall tsunami and a 9 foot wave is that the tsunami is shaped by the earthquakes underwater, but the difference between a 9 foot wave is a 9 foot wave might be like 10 feet wide, meaning the coast is running this way, right? The coast is running this way, and wide, when I say wide, I'm talking about like this distance. But a 9 foot tsunami can be hundreds of miles wide. That's where the problem is, because now you have a 9 foot tall wave that's 100 miles in. And if I'm wrong, somebody can call me out in the comments below. I welcome it. But I mean, that makes sense. Oh, wait. No, maybe. Okay, we're going to read this. We're going to read this. I don't want to miss it for my body. Let's see. So, tsunamis are generated by large-scale underwater disturbances like earthquakes, causing massive displacement of water with very long wavelengths, hundreds of miles. Regular waves or wind waves are generated by wind and have much shorter wavelengths, typically tens of feet. A 9 foot tsunami can inundate large areas inland, while a 9 foot wave, okay, no. So it's not the depth of it. What it is it's just like the whole coast would get hit by a 9 foot wave. That's right. That makes more sense. I mean, actually, it doesn't make more sense, but hell, what do I know?
The question is, can we send our HFD or an HPD into the zones that Jim said we're going to keep out of right now if they're in danger zones?
Here we go. Let's pause this. I want to watch this video.
Search the internet for
This will
tsunamis and
explain
you're likely to
everything
end
to
up
us.
with a lot of normal waves. This wave, not a tsunami. This
Not a
one,
tsunami.
scary, but it's not a tsunami either. So what's the difference between a wave that's 30 feet tall and a tsunami? First of all, scientists are the ones searching
This is
for
exactly what I'm
tsunamis, not surfers.
A tsunami is a very energetic wave. They are generally caused by earthquakes or volcanic eruptions underneath the water. A
Fair
tsunami
enough.
differs from a normal ocean wave in that it has a very, very long wavelength and a very short amplitude. So the amplitude is just the height of the wave. The wavelength is how far between the different crests of the wave that they are, and the frequency is how fast the crests move past a certain point. In very deep water, the amplitude of a tsunami wave is actually quite small. It could be only about 3 feet tall. The wavelength is also very long. As it moves into shallower water, the amplitude starts to grow. So the wave starts to grow in height, and the waves compress and get closer together, so that wavelength gets smaller. So they sort of back up, almost like train cars backing up against each other as they move from deep water into shallower water.
At this point, the tsunami wave has slowed down from about 100 to 150 miles per hour to about 30 to 50 miles an hour. As it travels closer to the shore, it collects more and more water. Sometimes, a tsunami arrives as a trough, meaning you'll see the tide suddenly pull back from the shore right before it hits. But if the tsunami arrives as a crest, there's no warning. The water just rises and floods everything in its path.
Oh, that's
so the wave has all of this
sucky.
energy, and so that's why you see the height of the wave start to grow as you get closer to the coast. At a certain point, gravity is going to take over and start to pull that wave down. It starts to crest. It appears on land that the water starts to go out as that wave comes over the top and crashes into the shore. The other difference between tsunamis and ocean waves is that an ocean wave happens on the surface of the water, but a tsunami actually displaces the entire volume of water in the
that's
ocean.
a big
where
deal.
It is. A little out of, no pun intended, a little out of my depth on that one.
Wow. Well, there we go. We just figured it out. Mystery solved, ladies and gentlemen. It's a big deal. But I'm not seeing nothing.
You know, our officers are dedicated, and they're going to put themselves in danger like they do every single day. But I'm going to tell you right now, if there's a 6-foot wave coming at 500 feet per second or whatever it is, I don't think I'd blame them if they don't go rushing into that. But what I will tell you is that our officers are highly dedicated, and as a matter of fact, we've kept back all of our daytime officers. We called in our nighttime officers early. They're not actually even supposed to start until 9 o'clock, but all of them came in early. So we have way more than 100% working
based
right now.
off of what we just
And that
said,
just
what
goes
we
to
just
show,
saw.
their commitment. I have full pride that they're all in working.
They're slowing
really hard.
down.
All of our support units are in. We'll do what we need to do to make sure that we keep the public safe. And I want to assure you that we're there for you to keep the public safe.
Hold on.
And if you need us, we'll be there. We'll answer that call for service.
I wanna.
Yes, just an update on some of the highways. Some of our highway routes have been closed. HPD is enforcing closures.
Yeah, you don't figure. HPD is enforcing probably enforcing closures of Oprah's road. They're like, no, you can't go down this road. So they are going to let people die. That is, man, you know what? Go Oprah. Go Oprah.
On Farrington Highway at Waimea Street.
Oh, he's verifying everything that we just talked about. Let me see. Oh, God. There are coyotes literally outside our house. Hold on. We got coyotes. Oh my God. Can we get crazier, please? All right. Let's see what's going on. Okay. I forgot what the hell I was doing. Dog took off like a rocket.
Fort Weaver Road at North Road, no Mackay bound, ocean bound traffic. And Fort Weaver Road at Papipi Road, no Mackay ocean bound traffic is being let through at this point. So be on the lookout.
Yeah.
There could be other closures that occur as the
Sorry,
officers
losers.
in the field deem necessary.
Sorry,
But
losers,
those
you
are
can't
three
afford
that
to
we
buy a
know of
road.
that, we're just
Haha,
advising the
idiots. Have fun getting through.
Any other questions? I want to thank you and all the media outlets for staying on this all afternoon like this and
What a
continue
loser.
to broadcast here. And let's just all hope for the best, okay? You have a big responsibility, and we're here to answer whatever questions, but we need your help too in reaching the people, and I thank you for that. Again, stay away
Here we
from
go.
social media. No false information. Deal with accuracy. It can make all the difference. Okay? Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. We'll bring you back down to the next update.
And now this is a live look at Hanalei, where the first arrived waves are expected to arrive, at 7:10. That is less than 12 minutes out.
Yeah, we're giving you a live look at Hanalei Bay right now, which is the first site of any sort of anticipated activity. You just heard from Honolulu Mayor Rick Blangiardi saying that, even after that we hit that time, we could be in for a long night until that all clears.
We're there for you to keep the public safe.
I want to see what this road is
And
called.
if you need us, we'll be there. We'll answer that call for service.
Yes, just an update on some of the highways. Some of our highway routes have been closed. HPD is enforcing closures on Farrington Highway at Waimea Street, at Fort Weaver Road at North Road, no Mackay bound, ocean bound traffic, and Fort Weaver Road at Papipi Road, no Mackay ocean bound traffic is being let through at this point. So be on the lookout. There could be other closures that occur as the officers in the field deem necessary.
These
But
posts
those are
express
three that we
frustration
know of
suggesting the
that,
road could
we're just
serve as
advising
a
the public.
vital evacuation route, but they lack official confirmation from authorities or Winfrey's
I want
representatives.
to
In
thank you and all
contrast,
the
during
media
a
outlets for staying on this all afternoon like this and continuing to broadcast here. And let's just all hope for the best, okay? You have a big responsibility, and we're here to answer whatever questions, but we need your help too in reaching the people, and I thank you for that. Again, stay away from social media. No false information. Deal with accuracy. It can make all the difference.
Oh,
Okay? Thank you.
like what? Like Oprah Winfrey won't open a road?
And now this is a live look at Hanalei, where the first arrived waves are expected to arrive, at 7:10. That is less than 12 minutes out.
Yeah, we're giving you a live look
Yep,
at
we're
Hanalei
gonna-
Bay right now, which is the first site of any sort of anticipated
Should I talk like
activity.
should I
You just
talk like a
heard from
news
Honolulu
anchor?
Mayor Rick Blangiardi saying that,
that'd be
even
better.
after that we hit that time, we could be in for a long night until that all clear is given. You also heard the emphasized message from emergency officials. You should not be on the roads right now. You should not be in low-lying areas, and do not flood the emergency call system. At this point, you should be at a place where you're safe. You're at an evacuation site. You're at a tsunami assembly area as we kind of wait through and see what this 8.8 magnitude earthquake that originated from Russia earlier this afternoon, 1:30 Hawaii time, what that brings. So again, a live look at Kauai right now. We want to go back to Ben Gutierrez and Drew Davis for their explanation on what we could expect. This is coming off of what we heard from Governor Green getting the first initial readings from the buoy at Midway Atoll. While they do say it's impossible to predict what could be happening here in Hawaii, what you do see at Midway was very newsworthy. What can you tell us, Ben and Drew?
All right, thank you, Mark. Thank you, Steph. Of course, at this time, we're less than 10 minutes out from the potential arrival of the tsunami in Kauai.
We're trying something real quick.
Honolulu.
Everybody
Again,
just chill out.
One last quick look. Of course, we're watching it was a 3-foot wave on top of the ocean reported at Midway Atoll. And of course, the waters get very shallow very quick right off of the Hawaiian Islands. Of course, we don't have a continental shelf around us like the continents do, where they have a large area of shallow water and then
they're
just
like,
these
look at it.
Drop off
It's
into
like-
the deep ocean. It gets very shallow very quickly.
And like some guy standing in it with some like swim trunks on and one of those
last
like
quick
swim
look at the Kauai
water
evacuation zones. You can see
floaty
this behind
things
us.
on his
Again,
arms.
Less than
And
10
he's like,
minutes
"Whee!"
away. That's when we're expecting to see the tsunami. It might not be exactly at 7:10, but that's the best prediction
not a
right
joke.
now for the arrival of this tsunami. Just taking a quick look, most of Kauai is in the tsunami evacuation zone, at least all of the coastlines. And the reasoning for that is because of all the Mauka areas, the mountains. It pushes right up against the coastline.
Okay.
You don't have very many areas that are highlighted in yellow right here. That indicates the extreme tsunami evacuation zone. And that's for the worst tsunami possible, the worst possible modeled tsunami. We don't expect that that's going to be the case with this one. But again, we have to take precautions across the entire island. Again, less than 10 minutes out.
There are
Ben, what can
so
you tell
many
us
people
about
watching the
tsunami?
live
We're
webcam
watching the Honolulu live cam very
that
closely.
it
We've just taken a
cannot
look out
handle
there.
it.
What can you tell us?
Well, basically, when you look at the tsunami evacuation map, obviously places like Hanalei and also West Kauai, where you're looking at that area, there's a very big run-up. And then when you look at East Kauai right now, basically Kapa'a, all the way down to Wailua, even down to Hanamaulu, that area there are some points where it is pretty shallow, where it is pretty flat as far as the landmass, but at the same time, places like Hanalei,
So then
even
you're
Hanalei,
gonna get smoked.
you can see that the tsunami evacuation map is a little bit deeper. It goes further inland. And one point I want to make up too, we've been talking about a wave. We could be talking several waves because that would be, we've been mentioning the first wave. And so tsunamis generally you don't just have one, you're going to have a bunch of them. And so there is that possibility where we will see waves possibly for several hours. And you can definitely see as we take a closer look at the island of Kauai evacuation maps, you can definitely see that Hanalei up at the top and also West Kauai, there's a very large area that goes inland and also on west or make that East Kauai, places like Waialua, also the Kapa'a area.
I'm right now trying to find
Hanamaulu. Those areas are
some good
also
footage
within that evacuation zone. Kauai also is older geographically or geologically rather, and so that means there are larger rivers. And so that also means that you should stay away from any of the waterways that go inland. The Wailua River, for example, is one. Navilivili Harbor is another, where you're going to have some of that energy from the tsunami going further inland because of the fact that it is a wider waterway, and then that will be able to go in. A couple of years ago, we had a smaller tsunami, and we had videos of that actually going up the canal, Kawainui Stream, I believe it is, up in Kailua, where you could see the tsunami wave. It was only about yay high, but you could definitely see something rolling in on the river, headed toward Enchanted Lake. Now, you'll see something on the surface, but at the same time, remember, it goes all the way down to the bottom of the ocean. And so even if the wave isn't that big, there's going to be strong currents. That's the reason why the Coast Guard has ordered evacuations of the harbors, because boats could be pushed around by these currents and could be pushed into piers, could be pulled away from their moorings, could get loose. We saw that in 2011. We saw boats hitting each other, causing major damage to vessels, also causing major damage to harbor infrastructure. And that's why we're seeing all of those boats leaving.
And we're at around 5 minutes out, I believe. It's 7:05, at least on the clocks that we have here in our studio. This is the time where we're watching for potentially water receding. Again, if you're near the beach, of course, go away. Do not stay there to watch the tsunami. This is an incredibly strong event. And we're no stranger to the power of water here in Hawaii. The river's point, that's a great point. All of that water, that energy rushing in, it's going to impact the entire island potentially when it comes to those rushing waters, rushing up the rivers, and of course the coastlines, of course, will be the most impacted. That's it for Ben and I here in the Weather Center. Let's send it over to Chief Meteorologist Jennifer Robbins with more.
Thank you so much. Very good information, gentlemen. We are going to be seeing a lot of action within the next hour. And first, beginning with that receding water and then the rush of energy. So the initial readings that they were talking about in the press conference, 3 feet, lots of forward motion we're talking about. It's almost like a freight train racing across the ocean, initially at speeds of 500, 550 miles per hour. Once it meets the shallow waters, that's when it slows down to speeds of about 30 miles per hour. Usually I use this graphic when we talk about flooding from rain, but this shows you the power of water and how incredibly powerful water can be and pick up people, just sweep them right off their feet. 1 foot can pick up cars, 2 feet can move SUVs and heavy trucks. So the power of water, especially along those rivers and everything that's meeting along the mountain base, is going to be a big concern, even if it is at 3 feet. So I just wanted to take a close look at the past most affected areas. This is going to be a lot of wraparound energy. That's why we have the tsunami warning for all of the islands. So it doesn't mean we're going to be in the clear for one island or the other, but Hilo does have a history getting hit hard by tsunamis, 1946, 1960, and 2011. It's known as the hot spot for tsunamis due to the bay's shape. It's incredible of how shallow the waters are, and because of the shape of the bay itself, it actually has some of those waves get even bigger along Hilo's side. Also, Kona has suffered damage in 1975 and 2011, and we have been seeing damage with other tsunamis across the western end of the state, particularly over on Kauai, on Oahu, the north and east shores. You can see some run up depending on the wave direction, and that's key, and that's one component we really don't know. Like Ben and Drew were talking about, there's a lot of information that's missing over open waters with the lack of buoy data that's over the open waters. So the wave direction is a big player of what kind of wave will be coming our way with these tsunamis. So we are coming close at 7:07 right now. Initial readings will likely be seeing that receding water at first over on Kauai, and then anywhere from 0.1 to 0.3 a possibility. And then that energy, like we're talking about, racing across the entire ocean at speeds of 550 miles per hour, that energy is going to get caught up. And so we could see the biggest of the tsunami surges come in during the 8 o'clock hour. And then it's going to be highly unpredictable throughout the night, especially with those strong currents. And that's why evacuation zones, you must just heed to all of those warnings, especially along the coastline, along the rivers, and along anywhere there is water. So taking a closer look at the readings from tonight, so 3 to 4 meters, that translates to 10 to 13 feet was observed along the Russian coast. We did see in Japan about 1.3 feet. It was up to 3 meters was the forecast. Over in Hawaii, initially we're forecasting 1 to 3. With that Johnson Atoll reading like at 3 feet, we could see that energy coming our way around that marker, but it could be even higher, like we're talking about Hilo and the shape of the bay that could pile up water even more. So that's a big concern after the 7 o'clock hour, and Guam ran anywhere from 1 to 3 meters, which translates to 3 to 10 feet. So historically speaking, we've seen a number of tsunamis like we've been talking about throughout the evening. Over 160 since 1812, the origin, Alaska, Chile, Japan, and Russia, and it can cause a huge surge of energy traveling across the ocean. And like we're talking about this evening, the power of water is incredible, and you can see the history is there. Tells a big story. With 1960 magnitude 9.5 arrived 15 hours later, up to 35 feet. In
That's
2010,
the big difference from 3 meters.
8.1 or 8.8, we did see 3 feet. So the direction of the wave does play a big role in that. And then Japan quake at 9.1, 6 to 7 feet with the property energy.
That's
so
a
we're
massive
watching
difference.
the buoy readings very carefully, and the latest information, let's send it back to Mark and Stephanie.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jen. We are now at 7:10, which is exactly when the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center predicted that we would see the first arrival of the tsunami waves generated by that powerful earthquake in Russia. And as we're looking here, Drew and Ben, What are you noticing?
Way off in the distance. We're talking about way off in the distance there, right around the middle of your screen, right at that point. It looks like there is something happening there as far as like ocean activity. You see some whitecaps that are slowly spreading across the bay. We haven't seen something that often occurs with tsunamis, and that is the pullout of the water. Usually there'll be an area, or places like Hanalei, the water will recede a lot, and then the tsunami will come back in. But I'm not sure exactly if that way off in the distance there is actually something at the moment. On the right side of your screen, right where the sunbeam is, there's a little bit of current activity. So you can see there are some currents that are occurring as some of the water starts to flow out. But as far as
some weird things happening right there.
Drew and I have been looking at this, and we just see something that appeared off in the distance, right at the edge of that point, where you can see some what looks like whitecaps. I don't know if that could be like something that is basically artifacts off the camera or whatnot. But one thing I'm also looking at very closely is the actual water line, the shoreline there. Not seeing anything. And again, 7:10 was the estimated time of arrival. And so I
spent a lot of time
as it indicates,
looking at the ocean.
An estimate. It can be faster, it can be longer.
And that's different.
It just kind of depends on what this had to travel through, and also the kind of earthquake that it was, because then it depends on how quickly it was pushed over. But no doubt, it does travel very quickly in the ocean. There's nothing there to basically hold it back. So we're looking again, speed of a jetliner, but at the moment that area of white really hasn't moved an awful lot. So we're not quite sure exactly what is going to be happening, if the tsunami, the first wave, is going to be late. But again, you can see some streaks on the ocean right here. Those are like rip currents that have developed, and
definitely the tsunami is going to be playing into strong currents. We're watching the water at least start to move in a little bit, like you said, over near the sunbeam reflecting off of the water there. You can see the direction.
Oprah Winfrey still hasn't opened up her road to let the
residents. The best prediction for the arrival of the wave, much like weather models. It's very hard to simulate the entirety of the ocean. So this is that was the best prediction given by the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center. And again, we're going to keep watching this. If it is delayed out here for Kauai, that also means that it will be delayed as we're going further down the island chain. Again, it does seem like we are seeing some waves moving in. Again, this is a very active scene where we're trying to watch exactly what's happening.
That's right, and taking us back now to 200011, Ben. I don't know if
you remember, waves don't normally form. Like you see these like little things right here. These are kind of like waves in a way.
Earthquake, and that sent us a tsunami.
And they don't normally form.
And you could definitely,
like out in the middle of the ocean.
On camera, you can definitely tell that is the tsunami wave. You talk about the
but something isn't right with this whole rip current right here going like this and this and this.
You will definitely see that big difference there. As far as right now, though, again, we are just monitoring and looking at the shoreline.
But you haven't seen that pull away
that off in the distance,
the tsunami normally has.
That sunbeam that you were pointing to, you're also noticing some subtle differences and changes in the water there. No major recession of the water yet, which is a telltale sign.
See, now we have like this right here.
The tsunami wave has arrived.
Sunset is expected at 7:12, so we've still got some daylight. We're just past that. And thank goodness that we still have that light out there to really give us a clearer sense of what is happening. We're going to be
there's got to be some people
that
actually have
at
like
Hanalei right now. This is a live stream overlooking Hanalei Bay with the expected arrival of the first activity of the tsunami generated by the 8.8 quake. We're looking at
here's a wave that's forming like in the middle.
Our first alert weather
like,
team is monitoring this shot very closely. literally
means the rudder.
an
That means the
unfolding
water
situation
is
as
rushing
we're
in
watching the water and kind
faster
of
than it
paying
can go
close
out.
attention to what we're seeing here with the conditions.
And again, the water here has to wrap around since Hanalei Bay is on the northern portions of the island. It's coming from the west and northwest. Russia is off to the northwest of the island chain. We've been showing that map of just completely open water. So we have to see a little bit of a wraparound. First, it hits the Nepali coast, and then starts to move
pull
into
back
Hanalei
at
Bay,
the
move
last
down
minute.
the western and leeward coast of
And that's gonna
Kauai.
suck.
So we are going to continue to see how this evolves.
And Drew and Ben, talk about the impact of, I know this this earthquake, 8.8 earthquake off the eastern coast of Russia.
Yeah, everybody's like
had
forgetting
a
about the
depth
fact
of
that there was an
46
earthquake.
miles down. Now, talk about how that plays a role in the strength and power of wave.
Well, usually the deeper an earthquake is centered, the less likely it will cause an earthquake. It will cause a tsunami, rather. However, it kind of depends on the type of earthquake. Drew had explained earlier, if it's a slip, not too bad. If it is a thrust earthquake that goes straight up and that pushes a whole column of water up, that's one of the things that we were seeing in the Thailand earthquake, the devastating, I believe it was 2006 earthquake.
That's so weird.
I might have to check on the date there, but the one that devastated so many places like Indonesia and
looks like we're in the clear
on
for now.
Christmas Eve of that year. Right now, Hanalei not really showing anything, but then again, 710 was an estimated arrival. There was a wave that was recorded, according to Haima officials, at the buoy at Midway Atoll. So
that was
depending
about
on
ankle
how
high.
things are going, we could be seeing a delayed arrival, but then again, remember,
And it
is
just
not
hit
just the first one.
7:17, which is when we were expecting the first waves to arrive on Oahu. If we can now switch over to, this is a live look at Honolulu Harbor, where earlier we were also monitoring quite a few reports that boaters, a number of them, and fishing boats were heeding the warning, and we also saw them head out to sea, staying away from the channels, going in water at a depth of 300 feet or greater. And you can see it looks like the harbor is all clear. Even got word that the Coast Guard cutter ship also left the harbor right now. As we take a look at Honolulu Harbor, 7:17, again, the estimated arrival of the first waves here on Oahu.
Yeah, and the ability for these vessels to evacuate is one of the silver linings of an event like this, because you had a 6-hour notice, for the boaters to head out to the open ocean, for residents and visitors to head to different evacuation sites right now. So we're keeping a very close eye. Live look at Honolulu Harbor. It's 7:18 right now. 8 minutes after the first wave was expected, and the epicenter, so to speak, when something like this, the first area of focus is Hanalei Bay on Kauai. We still have some daylight out right now.
Everybody
to
makes
keep
it out
a close
alive.
eye on this. Now,
I'll be back.
Drew and Ben and Jen as well. As we're looking at these images here, what should our viewers be paying attention to in regards to the water movement and activity?
Sorry, before you guys answer, can we switch over now to this live look at Waikiki, where we might be able to detect more changes in the water here, and you can definitely see a clear view of the coastline, and definitely empty there. Earlier shots, right, Mark, when you guys began the coverage right after the tsunami warning, the beaches were crowded. You can see that is not the case right now. They heeded the warning. Mayor Rick Blangiardi said, if you're anywhere near the coastline, get out.
And I think it's important to note just generally the ocean conditions right now. We do have a small craft advisory. We have strong trade winds. We also have a rising swell on south-facing shores and east-facing shores. We're seeing wave heights expected today at 3 to 5. And this is wave heights alone, waves that you surf, not the tsunami itself. East-facing shores at 2 to 4. So you could kind of see in some of these shots, there does seem to be some disruption, some rip currents that are happening, strong currents that are happening. So very interesting as we look at these live shots, since it's not, it's traveled so many miles to get here, so far with the epicenter just off the coast of Russia and giving us that 6-hour window to get here. We are likely going to be seeing on a smaller scale of a tsunami, but still a lot of energy. But it's really hard to predict how the wave direction is going to be impacting some of the spots But like we were talking about, the shape of Hilo Bay itself historically has caused damage in the past, especially for boats and even along the coastal harbors there. So this is something we're going to have to wait and watch throughout the next couple of hours. The initial wave could be small, but then build up throughout the next couple of hours.
One thing that I'm noticing when we have had tsunamis in the past, when we have shown this live shot of Coconut Island, usually that little channel between the island and the main part of Hawaii Island, you can see a current that is going in and out. We haven't seen that yet in Hilo, obviously. Right now, here's another live look at Hanalei Bay. And whatever was happening off in the distance might have been a camera artifact. Haven't seen it off in the distance anymore, off at the point, but we are still seeing some currents that that still indicates some sort of activity. The shoreline right now, the water has not receded, but there is, again, as Jen mentioned, the possibility that maybe the first wave, not so big, but again, it's a series of waves. We had in 2011, huge waves start coming in and impacting the Kailua Kona area, causing major damage to the shops on Ali'i Drive. And that was like 4 or 5 hours after the initial waves had hit Oahu. And so we're not in the clear yet. It's not a single wave.
That's true. It's not always the first wave that might be the most dangerous, and it is a series of waves. That's a great reminder, Ben. And now we want to turn things over to our reporter, Mahealani Richardson.
Yeah, we had mentioned the vessels leaving harbor areas, heading out into the open ocean. We have great video of some of the vessels leaving the ports. Let's send it over to Mahale with some of the images you've captured. Hi, Mahale.
Thanks a lot, Mark and Steph. And of course, if you need to interrupt me at any moment, because we're all keeping an eye on our ports, but I wanted to show you this video that our Casey Lund was shooting from a Kaka'ako high rise, and it was amazing to see all of the ships evacuating. Now, this is because at about 6:47 this evening, the U.S. Coast Guard ordered the evacuation of all commercial vessels from all commercial harbors in the entire state. So you can see the Coast Guard there was also moving. Several boaters were getting out of the way. I called a boating friend, and he had already gotten the word. In fact, many boaters were not waiting for the U.S. Coast Guard to give this official warning, but everyone just certainly getting out of the way. There are 9 commercial harbors on 6 islands. We also saw there was a cruise ship in the Hilo Bay area that loaded their passengers, and they were heading out to sea. Now, I also called Joint Base Pearl Harbor Hickam to ask about the military ships. They would not say what the military ships are doing, and so we're trying to get official word on what those battleships are doing. But again, the U.S. Coast Guard has ordered the evacuation of all commercial vessels from every harbor in the state of Hawaii. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Mahealani, for that. And so we were monitoring those live cameras, and we still, during Mahea's report, we have not noticed anything that sticks out just yet. But just before we went to Mahea, Ben Gutierrez just mentioned what is really important, and that is the reason why, even though this timeline, it has passed, it's not the time really to go important, back to and that is. If you're curious, because we have not seen anything noticeable. It is a series of waves. That's what a tsunami wave is. It is not just one, and it is not a surf wave. It wraps around the island.
Yeah, it's not a singular event. This is an hours-long event, right? Right? And we're looking at this. This is something where you're watching very closely. You're looking at the changes in the water activity. Now, as the sun has gone down already, who knows how much this shot is going to change, what we'll be able to see right now as we're staying on our Hanalei cam. We are constantly refreshing, making sure it is the most up-to-date image and the most accurate representation of Hanalei Bay. As the reports have come down, as the updates have come down, Hanalei emerged as kind of the first site that was going to be seeing any sort of activity.
Yes. Crazy. We want to go live now to our live cam on Maui, and this is the coastline there, and you can see, I don't know, are you noticing any differences out there, Ben?
Not just yet. It kind of looks normal, but again, we still have some of those streaks of flatter water off in the districts, again, indicative of some currents that are going on. You know, the people who serve watermen, waterwomen, those who use the ocean a lot are very familiar with those streaks and look for them because those are the things that will indicate that could get you into trouble if you get caught in it. But nothing that I see. Jen, do you see anything?
It's really hard to tell from this vantage point, but it does seem like stronger currents are occurring. At the same time, I think it's important to note that we do have high tide that's peaking right now. So there is a rise in water overall and a lot of movement over the water on top of the expected arrival of the tsunami. So a lot of moving parts. It's very dynamic over the Pacific Ocean right now.
One thing that we have had that we haven't really been able to share with you is that the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center has been putting out, or receiving some data as far as the wave heights. And so Wake Island got a 0.7 foot wave that was recorded at the buoy there. Midway, 1 feet. That's not the that's basically the amplitude. That's basically the regular. That's not trough to crest. That is the ocean, the regular ocean surface, and then added to that 1 foot is the wave height. Highest one we've got is one of the dart buoys, which had a 3 foot wave out in the open ocean. This is closer to Kamchatka. I'm trying to figure out which exact buoy that it is, but it is Dart 21416. There are a couple of buoys that are kind of like out in the area. I've got just so you know what I'm doing, I'm kind of like looking at the map, trying to figure out which one is 21416. And this is probably one of the ones that is pretty, 21416 with a 3 foot amplitude is the one that is closest to the earthquake itself. So that one recorded a 3 foot wave out in the open ocean. The other ones are a little bit smaller. Back to some of the wave heights. There's about 1.1 feet in Japan. 2 other dart buoys that are out there, 1.5 and 1.4. 0.6 feet and 0.9 feet. And so there is a wave out there. It might not be that big, but again, even if it's not that big, there's still currents.
I know one of the buoys that they were trying to get more information on was the one in Guam at 657. Ben, do you see any data generated at that buoy?
Oh, is that Midway?
Guam.
Guam. I don't have Guam on this list, but I'll look it up and see if I can look it up.
We do want to take a look at one of the reasons, of course, why we were watching Midway Atoll so closely is because it is kind of the first warning when we get a tsunami coming from the west or northwest like this. Let's actually take a look at some of the observed water levels. If we can bring up graphics 12 or max 2 real quick, you can see this very clearly. This is over it seems like the last 24 hours. The blue line, that's the actual prediction for where the water level was going to be. The water level is in red, and you can see as we're going into today, as the tsunami wave is passing, the tsunami waves, I should rather say, is passing the atoll buoy. You've got this jump up, you've got this jump down, you've got this jump up. You've got this jump down.
Don't worry, I don't
Again,
think there's
this
much
is
to
just
worry about,
indicative
to be
of how
honest.
many
Different
waves are going to be potentially moving in. Of
I'll be
course,
back in
it
a
looks
little bit.
very different out there. It might look very calm on the camera, but again, Ben and I have been talking about how Hawaii is kind of in a very unique circumstance when it comes to our seafloor, our seafloor topography. Our waters get very deep very, very fast. So when this wave, this column of water is potentially moving in, it is going to grow very fast as it reaches the seafloor and grows quickly towards the coast. We get to the deep ocean pretty quickly here in the island chain. We don't have a continental shelf around us like the rest of the continents do. And of course, on that graphic that we were looking at, you can very clearly see the jump in the buoy, jump up, jump down, jump up. And again, that's multiple waves. It's not just one wave.
Is that an indicator on how strong the energy is from?
It absolutely can be, especially if we were seeing a much stronger, much higher and much lower troughs and crests from the waves. Again, the buoy is on the top of the water. As the wave is troughing, so it's going down to the bottom, the buoy goes down. And so you're seeing it jump. This is the height in feet. If you let's bring up max 2 again, graphics 12, so you can see what we have out there. Again, this is on the y-axis. This is the height in feet. You're seeing this jump between 2 to just below -1 feet below the average very quickly. This is a very quick jump.
Drew, something I want to jump back to is when we heard earlier from Governor Green, he was talking about the activity with the buoy at Midway.
Yes.
And so can you clear up for us and give us kind of like a direct line explanation? So he said it's measured at 6 foot at the buoy. What does that mean, what's happening at the ocean surface?
So, to the best of my understanding, and Ben, if I say this incorrectly, please correct me, 6 feet is what he's talking about between the trough and the crest of the wave. So it's 6 feet from the top of how tall it is, how tall the buoy goes up, to how low the buoy goes down in the water. So when we're seeing that, he talked about that 3 foot number, that is 3 feet above the typical water level or the tide level at that time. You can even see the tides in the beginning of this chart here. You've got high tide around 8. And then as you're going into even further, you've got low tide. You can see the up and down, and then you see this jump indicative of the tsunami waves.
We want to show you the waves that were just the first waves to arrive on the coast of Japan here. And gentlemen, if you could describe what we are seeing here. This was shortly after the powerful earthquake off the eastern coast of Russia.
Yeah, it looks like I'm going to assume that the ocean is on the right, or it might be a jetty. Oh, there we go. That's a better view. All right, this is basically classic tsunami wave action because it's coming in from the open ocean, and then you can see that very, very disturbed, kind of a wall of water that's coming in and overtaking, for example, the seawall there. You see the smaller waves, those are probably the normal waves that are, just basically every day. But you can see how that big area of white, that white water that pushes in, definitely that's a tsunami. It's a slightly larger one. It's not huge by any means, but it is a tsunami wave because you can see just how much energy that it has basically generated and basically pushing in. And so the waves, the little ones you see on the beach just above, basically in the center there, those are regular waves, but tsunami waves, those are definitely been coming in for Japan. Again, it's a little closer to where the epicenter of this earthquake was. But right now, as we take another look at the Hanalei camera, we're not seeing an awful lot. We're still seeing a little bit of the current action, and it seems a little bit flat, close to the area. All right, Pacific Tsunami Warning Center is about to hold a press conference with the latest information. Let's go live there with the latest.
Coming in at Hanalei Bay, not so big, maybe about 1.5 feet above normal sea level, and then the signal was dropping to below normal sea level when I left a minute ago. But that's just the first part of the wave, and we know from what we observed at Midway, it was actually the third wave at Midway was the largest. So we've got some time to wait here at Hanalei, which was the first place it arrived, and of course it is moving down the island chain. So we hadn't seen anything on any other gauges as of yet, but we know it's coming. So we're always hopeful it won't be too bad, but anticipating from our models that yes, we are going to have a significant tsunami going across our islands and arriving on all the coasts. We monitor about 15 sea level gauges across the state, so we will have more reports later, and of course our news channels will also probably be telling us what they're seeing in places where they can safely observe the coast. So please stay out away from the coast. I know you've all evacuated, so continue to stay evacuated. And the instructions ultimately on when it's safe to go back will come from the state and county emergency management agencies. But we've got a ways to go. It's probably going to be several hours before we may even be able to lower the warning here in Hawaii to advisory level when waves go down, and probably not at least until tomorrow morning before we're able to completely cancel the warning, and right now most of us are still waiting, and we are waiting to see just how big it is going to get across the state. So stay safe, everyone.
Given that the third wave was the biggest for Midway, are you expecting the same here in the islands of Hawaii? And what's the interval between waves?
So the interval between waves can be 10 to 20 minutes typically, from one wave crest to the next wave crest. And we don't know exactly, that Midway it was the third wave doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the third wave. Here the wave pattern gets very complicated as the wave crosses the state, because those tsunami waves reflect off of islands, and they wrap around islands, and they interact with each other. So at every location it can be a different wave. But the threat will definitely go on for probably for several hours.
Dr. McCurry, if you could kind of encapsulate everything again with regards to what are you looking for right now? I know you said we're still not clear, but what are the specific elements that you are really tracking to see what's that next data point that you can release?
So we're pretty much done with forecasting the tsunami at this point. We're just reacting. So, of course, our center has responsibilities across the whole Pacific. So we're continuing to send messages to other countries around the Pacific. But our main responsibility is here in Hawaii. And so at this point, we're more or less just monitoring the situation to try to determine when we could lower the alert level and ultimately when we can cancel.
The last time that you folks, I guess, were activated in this capacity, was that back in 2011 during the Japan earthquake? And how are the situations different? Because it's about the same direction of where it's coming from.
Yeah, 2011 was certainly the last significant tsunami we experienced here in Hawaii. But we actually handle many tsunami events in the Pacific every year, because earthquakes in the lower magnitude 7 range are pretty frequent, maybe about 10 a year in the Pacific, and almost all of them generate some kind of smallish tsunami, but we don't normally hear about it. But sure, yeah, the Japan tsunami was the last significant tsunami, and in some ways it's similar, but every tsunami is unique in certain ways. The way the source behaves affects the tsunami, and crossing the bathymetry in the Pacific, the waves get focused and defocused in different ways, and so that's why we need numerical models to help us predict what might happen on our coast.
I know that you were expecting 3 to 10. Now here we are, and we're more in the reaction phase. But can you revisit that prediction of up to 10 foot?
Yeah, sure. So the main thing we use to constrain our models are these deep ocean gauges that we support in the Northwest Pacific. Well, we support them all across the Pacific, but the ones for this event are the ones in the Northwest Pacific, and they're out in deep water. They measure the tsunami without interference from reflections on the coast, which you have with a normal tide gauge that's in a harbor. And so our models try to match the signals that are seen on those deep ocean gauges, and if we can match them, then we know we've created the right kind of wave. And so, of course, in the beginning, we only have a reading on one gauge, and later on it's 2, 3, 4 gauges, and so we keep iterating with these models. But even from the get-go, from the very beginning, the forecast was pretty consistent, even with more of this data telling us that, yeah, Hawaii had this threat. And for the coastline in Hawaii, there's another part of this model that actually brings the synthetic wave up onto the coast in a few, maybe about a dozen places around our state. And so some of those models did say that we would have roughly 10 feet above normal sea level. So that's what we've been going on, and it's been pretty consistent.
And when will you update us again?
I guess I can take your advice on when you'd like an update. I think I should probably come down maybe in another half an hour or so, because we should have more readings from across the state, and then I can give you another update.
What sort of conversations will you be having in the next few hours?
Well, mostly we will just trying to see if the readings we're getting are are consistent with our model and thinking about the other places around the Pacific that we're advising at this time.
What places are the dozens of places that could see up to 10 feet?
Well, certainly Hawaii has certain areas that in the past typically get pretty big amplitudes, and that's Hanalei Bay, it's Haleiwa on Oahu, it's Kahului on Maui, and it's Hilo on the Big Island. And so those are for our models now, those are also the biggest places. Okay, stay safe, everyone.
And that was Dr. Chip McCreary from the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center saying, again, they are done predicting this event. It is actually happening right now. And during that press conference, Mark and Drew and Ben, we were actually monitoring this live shot of Hanalei Bay and actually seeing signs that the waters were receding and at times even parts of the reef were exposed.
Yeah, I've been looking very closely at the shoreline, which is just above the red banner. At one point, it was a little bit further out, and so that may have been a little bit of the water receding. Not a ton, but there is a sign that something was happening, and there were some people in the Hanalei area who were saying that the water had receded enough where the reef was exposed. We were seeing some things on the camera. We weren't particularly sure what it was, but now looking at it, it might have been the reef getting exposed there, and then the water is now coming back in. But we do have, just an indication that some kind of tsunami wave may have occurred or may have arrived in Hanalei. It's not just it's not that big, it's just not huge. But then again, remember, even if you don't have the size and height on the surface, this energy goes all the way down to the bottom of the ocean, wherever it may be, and is still capable of causing currents. And we're seeing a bit of that right now because it's a little bit flatter close to the shore, and then you can see those tendrils of currents that are heading out those areas of flatter water that kind of snake out into the further distance there. So it might not be huge, it might not be something that looks extremely destructive, but just from looking at the ocean and the way the ocean looks, there is something happening out there right now. But as Chip McCreary from the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center said, this could still be several hours. As we've been saying this evening, it's just the first wave. It's not going to be the whole, it's not going to be one and done. It's going to be an event where we're going to have waves coming in maybe every 20, 30 minutes, possibly for the next several hours.
And it does appear that, from when we first started taking this cam at 7:10, about a half an hour ago, that you can see more movement in this camera. And when you are speaking of an event like this, when you're seeing any types of movement in the current, that can speak to the strength and power. Drew Davis, you're looking very closely at the cams as well. What are you noticing on your end?
Like you mentioned, Mark, we are seeing some strong currents. It's a mixture of water going out. Ben mentioned that we were able to see some of the reef exposed, potentially even pretty far out, closer to that point that you see far off in the distance. And just taking a wide view, if you kind of look at you can see the currents in the water right now, actually. If you look at the water and look at the sunlight, you can actually see the water pushing in towards the coastline right now. So the reflective water, you can kind of see that current pushing in ever so slightly. Again, we are watching for multiple waves here, and off in the distance, the sun is setting, and it even seems like we have one person out there.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
It looks like one person paddling in the water right now on a stand-up paddleboard.
And the state officials said that they have rescue teams activated and ready to go, but in an event like this, they are not going to be putting their lives in danger and responding to save you. So
basically, you're on your own at this point. So if you have not heeded the evacuations, if you are going into the water despite the fact that you've been told not to do so, you're going to be putting first responders at risk. if they choose to go out and get you. Many times, because of the possible severity of the tsunami waves that will be coming in, they might not. They might want to keep themselves safe. They're not going to put their lives in danger just because you did. So we are seeing someone in this cam who's out paddleboarding, but really ought not to be doing that.
Yeah, we're also getting reports now of the water receding over on Oahu's north shore as well. We're talking about Haleiwa. We're just seeing that coming in from one of our reporters out there.
Yeah, one of the hot spots that Chip McCreary had mentioned, right? They were keeping a close eye on Hanalei right now and Haleiwa at the preliminary stages of this tsunami event. Our chief meteorologist, Jennifer Robbins, is standing by as well, looking at what we're seeing in terms of any sort of tidal movement, what we're seeing with the currents. What are you noticing on your end? What we're witnessing here, is this kind of typical for what we should expect in this type of event?
Very interesting to watch all of the elements come together right now, and it's unfolding before our eyes. And I really do think, like we were talking about in the press conference, that the initial wave is much smaller, and then we could see that build up within the next couple of hours. But you can actually see the direction of these currents. There is a little bit of stirring up that's going on where it is coming in different directions there. So this current is becoming more strong, and it is becoming a little bit more unpredictable. And that's why, like this gentleman or Wahine that's in the water
Whoever's
right now,
in there.
it's just too early to say if the waves are coming our way, and they're going to be coming in waves. We're talking about not just one big wave. We're going to have wave after wave and surges of energy. And historically speaking, because Hanalei is a place that we do have been impacted by tsunami waves. We've seen that along the north and east shores of the western end of the state, and along the north shores of Maui County, and then along Hilo, there historically have seen big significant tsunamis that have impacted them. So it does take time for all of this to build in, and like we're talking about, it's going to be a waiting game right now, and we'll have to be patient and just until we get that all clear to stay out of the water.
I'm going to bring your attention, though, just to about the middle of the screen. You can see the water, the current is moving from left to right. That is water leaving. That's what it looks like, water leaving. And you can see the waves that are rippling just behind that. Those are not incoming waves. Those are waves that are flowing over the reef and heading out. And then just in the foreground, ahead of the water that is moving from left to right on your screen, we can see more rocks that are being exposed right now.
I can see it.
Yeah.
You do see that receding a little bit more now.
If we had a side-by-side picture of what we were witnessing an hour before this, definitely looked very, calm with just the ripples of the waves coming into the shore. But now you can definitely see changes in the water.
Yeah, especially since I'm not familiar with Hanalei Bay, but if this were more of a daytime shot, usually what we see when we take this camera for our weathercasts, it's basically water, it's beach. But then now I'm almost wondering if that's not only reach, I'm wondering if that's sand that may be exposed
Some
there.
lava rock along the bay.
Actually, just look where the palm trees are. You can see where the palm trees are. Sand is starting to get exposed there.
Yeah, you can very clearly see the sand, the rocks. Of course, this is the big sign that the wave is growing. It's growing as it's approaching the shoreline. I'm trying to find where that person was, or where they were foiling, whether they were paddleboarding. Were they impacted by the water receding out?
Yeah, it's really hard to see. It's getting darker by the minute right now, and the water is a place not to be, of course, when you see how unpredictable the water is, and especially with the strong currents that accompany a tsunami.
Yeah, in fact, look, I can tell now, that's sand now. There's a lot of sand exposed there. And so you see the waves just off in the distance, but a lot of the beach, a lot of Hanalei Bay, the sand, even as you look to your left, to the left side of the screen, looks like more sand, looks like more of the reef, more of the rocks. It looks like the beach has receded probably about 100 feet.
Do we know how many buoys are in the area?
Not that many. I don't think there's any buoys there. The one that we do have. Jen's going to go take a look real quick.
I do remember while listening into that news conference from Dr. Chip McCrary, he says that they are monitoring 15 sea level gauges across the state as this event is happening to get more data, saying that it's going to be several hours before the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center may be able to lower the warning to an advisory when the waves go down, and it won't be until at least tomorrow morning when possibly that warning is canceled altogether.
And
But yes.
Steph, I'm sorry to interrupt, but it seems like the water might be rushing back in ever so slightly. You can see some waves forming, and some of the sand that was previously exposed is getting covered up. You can see those ripples right in the center of your screen. Luckily, we still have a little bit of daylight over near Hanalei Bay compared to our other tower cams. It seems like some water might be rushing in, but still a lot of sand exposed out there.
Right, all of this happening more than 40 minutes after the estimated arrival of the first waves in Hanalei Bay at 7:10. So these changes right now unfolding as we speak, and we're keeping a close eye on it. Any other observations there, Jen?
It's just really interesting to think about how much energy has moved across the ocean. With the tsunami wave, the initial surge of energy moving at 500 miles per hour across the ocean. And the wave direction really will tell a big story of what kind of wave we get. Like we were talking about, it's going across open waters. It has to cross multiple islands, atolls as well before it arrives here. So that's going to impact those initial waves. And then now we're starting to see that surge of energy that comes through. So this is likely the second or third wave, like we're talking about, out of this whole tsunami event.
Yeah, and from our reporter out on the North Shore, also reporting earlier that the water was receding and now saying that the tide is returning and coming back. So we are also seeing these changes as well on our shores here on Oahu.
Yeah, and this is going to be an hours-long event. As the forecasters have been telling us, this is not a single wave. They've been telling us throughout this waiting period, this is going to be taking place over the course of several hours right now. Jen, you said it best. We are watching this unfold before our very eyes right now. We're going to be staying on this cam at Hanalei Bay, which is the first site of activity following this tsunami warning. We're also keeping close tabs right now on what is happening up and down the island chain. But, I mean, the way that forecasters were able to pinpoint down and kind of this timetable here from when the earthquake initially struck, I mean, it seems to be right on line with what we're seeing here, and the activity really lines up.
Yeah. You know, speaking of activity, guys, sorry, we just want to take another live look at a camera that has just become available for us.
Another vantage point of
Hanalei Bay. So, pardon, sometimes the live shot there does freeze, but at least this gives us an idea. I know a viewer sent in a screenshot of the changes that were taking place, of the water receding earlier. Of course, this is a live look right now as we are seeing the water lapping over the shoreline there. Another vantage point of Hanalei Bay.
It's hard to tell from this vantage point, but you know, we'd have to see if there's any receding water that happened before this. There looks like there's a little bit of a debris line, not that big. So that would be above the heart. That would be like the line of little tree limbs and so forth. We're going to try and stay on this shot as long as we can, just because we can. But of course, it's going to get dark, and once that happens, we won't be able to monitor this, but the waves will start hitting places like Waikiki, a little bit better lit. We have crews that are out and about all over the islands, and that includes Kahului. Dylan and Chetta is up on Maui. Right now, it looks like things have stabilized, but once again, the difference between waves, the time difference between waves can be 20 to 30 minutes. And so what we saw just a moment ago, where the water was going out and receding out of Hanalei Bay and then coming back in, maybe not that big, but if we do get another episode of receding water while there's still some daylight to play with, We might be able to see that maybe in about 10, 15 minutes or thereabouts.
Typically, how many waves do you expect in an event like this?
Hard to say.
Yeah.
Very hard to say because, again, it depends on how the earthquake basically acted, what kind of earthquake it was. And so, if there was a lot of shaking, then maybe there's a lot more waves. It was just one thrust, which it normally isn't, then, well, you're kind of stuck with a bunch of waves, So basically, as Dr. McCreary said, this could be a case where we could be going on well into the night, and the first wave may not be the biggest one. It could be some of the successive waves that come after it.
I mean, if you remember, Ben, the 2011 tsunami, I mean, that we weren't expected to feel the effects and see the first waves until sometime around 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
And the all clear wasn't given until hours after that. And we were still waiting to see the effects. I remember it was a long period of waiting. But the damage was significant, even though the waves looked small. You cannot see visibly the power and the force of that rushing water.
The surge coming in.
That is what caused all of the damage to the piers, to the boats, the boaters who weren't able to leave in time.
Yeah, that's why we're talking about the boats having to leave when they can, and the Coast Guard saying evacuate, take your vessels out to open water at least 300 feet deep so that you can avoid the surge. That's basically what it is, and we have been repeating it often. It's not a surface wave. It's just basically the energy that goes all the way from the ocean surface down to the bottom. And so you're going to get strong currents. And as, again, it gets into shallower water, it's going to go not only higher, but it's also going to get wider. And so you're going to have an area of strong currents that are going to impact. They're going to swirl around. They're going to do strange things that as they interact with the reefs and they interact with the bottom of the ocean.
I mean, just so that you could illustrate it more, Jen, I mean, if you could talk about the power of these waves, I mean, the governor said it as well. I mean, it's not the height of it, but he may be saying it's 3 feet, but it's strong enough to move a house or a car.
And we're talking about the forward motion in all of this, and it was moving at once speeds of 500 to 550 miles per hour. And then once it reaches more shallow waters, it does slow down to speeds about 30 miles per hour, but it's that forward momentum that gets it going. And like Ben was talking about, spreading exponentially and widening as it does. And that's why this is wraparound energy. It's not like one side of the island is protected and the other side is not. This is going to be a whole statewide event as it wraps around. And then as it interacts with our topography, with our outer reefs, with our inner reefs, then we will see what kind of wave that it's going to be facing into the next couple of hours. So very interesting to see the dynamics of all of this come together. A lot of numerical models are put together to predict the wave speed and arrival times. And I do think they did a great job with the arrival times with this one, because we have been seeing activity since the 7 o'clock hour.
It's almost like trying to predict what a hurricane can do. We're starting to get pretty good at predicting where it's going to go. But the intensity, like how strong a hurricane is, that is still pretty much up to the hurricane and what Mother Nature decides. Same thing with the tsunami is happening here, where we have been able to reasonably predict when it's going to arrive. But as far as how big the waves are going to get, a couple of reasons why, again, we don't really have a definite concrete answer. We cannot tell you for sure. We have been saying like 3 to 9 feet or thereabouts, but we're not sure. It's something that we just have to be prepared for. If it happens, you were prepared. If it doesn't happen, just give a good sigh of relief. We were prepared. You know what to do better next time.
And that is our job, to make sure that you are prepared, and in that we have our crews spread out all across the island to cover this event. And we actually want to take a live shot now of Oahu's North Shore. This, I believe, is the Haleiwa area where waters, we're told, seem to be receding there. We're trying to light up this area as best as we can with our light, of course.
We've received reports that water was receding in the area. We also have a clip of, you can show you more in better light of kind of what exactly was happening. Here's that shot right now, as we're just trying to keep tabs on how this timeline matches up with what was happening at Hanalei. This is happening in Haleiwa as well. You just look at the activity, what's happening with the coastline here. keeping a close eye on the receding aspect. So, this back out live. Visibility is poor because of the darkness, and so we're trying to get the best vantage point we can as possible in this.
It seems calm as far as you can see. Just, from looking at it right now, you can't really see much, Ben or Jen.
Yeah. But the water has receded. It looks like a lot of wet sand that's in the foreground. So that was water, or that was sand that was underwater. You can see a water line on that rock there. That's probably where the water was just a few minutes ago. And so we are seeing the water recede. You can see the Rainbow Bridge off in the distance near the top of your screen. And so that gives you a little bit of basically what's going on.
That's a shot at North Shore right now. We also have a live Waikiki cam. Fortunately, there's good lighting on this cam here, so it gives us a better sense of what we're going to be seeing over the next several hours or so.
And you can also see some wet sand where the water's pushed up over the shoreline as well, Ben and Jen.
Yeah, there's that area to the bottom of the pier. That's a very gentle slope. That's a very gentle way to get into the ocean as far as the slope. So there's nothing particularly deep. You can go out several feet and you'll still be like in waist-high water. And so the run-up can go farther because it's a gentler slope. On the other side, the Fort DeRussy side, it's a little bit steeper on that side, but you can definitely tell that there has been some water run-up, and also maybe it's either a run-up or the water has receded at this point. But I think, judging from where the beginning of the pier is, at least on the sand, the wet sand that you see there was a run-up. So that is because usually that path to the pier is usually pretty dry. And so if you've got the water running up that high, that means we did have something, and maybe more again could be on the way.
We want to pull up the Hanalei cam, but let's call for that one that was showing us a different vantage point, because we won't be able to really gather much. Yeah, we're trying to gather a different shot right here that provides a much more different view of Hanalei. It gives you that look at the coastline.
Yeah, and while we're taking a look at this, we just did get word from state officials that the next press conference to give us an update on what they're seeing and what the state has experienced is coming in at 8:20. So, of course, we'll bring that to you live as it comes. But as far as I can see here, it's really hard to make out any movements in the water, just the squall in the background, of course.
Yes, with some of the passing showers and the trade winds. And we do have a few swells moving through as well, coming in from the south and also the east. We're seeing some rising surf. And it's probably going to be a very important press conference coming up at 8:20. I think we're going to have more substantial data, more readings that they're going to share during that time, and that could give us an idea of what these initial waves have been doing. But we are seeing a lot of run-up across the entire island chain, and also those strong currents. The best case scenario out of all of this is getting those strong currents and not a whole lot of coastal flooding. So that's what we're hoping for. All of this initial painting of what's been happening with the tsunami, I hope that continues on for the next couple of hours.
Yeah, you look at there was a heart that was in the middle of this live shot a little bit earlier, and the water's been reaching the heart, and maybe mud washed over it for all I can tell. It's not the best quality picture, and also this is probably that squall that we saw off in the distance in the earlier Hanalei Bay cam. But probably a combination of a little bit of rain, but also the fact that the water is a little bit higher now than we saw a little bit earlier when there was still adequate daylight. The debris line has moved up a little bit further, and so there's that squall line off in the distance. Again, just because of the lack of daylight, it's pretty much gone. We're seeing the last bits of dusk here, so it's going to be harder and harder to tell. So we're going to be looking at some of the other cameras that have better lighting around the state as this energy from the tsunami continues to move down the island chain. And so we're expecting, like, for example, Hawaii Island, maybe to get some action. We should be able to see it a little bit better as we get to, say, for example, Coconut Island. This is the shot now. The water is very calm there, but when you look at the bridge that goes over Coconut Island, many times when there is a tsunami, even if it's a small one, you can definitely see the current I'm not seeing it right now.
Let's go to our Drew Davis now with some new data.
Yeah, thank you, Steph. Can we pull up really quickly graphics 12 so you can see what's going on? This is the latest look at the buoys over at Na Wili Wili over on Kauai. Again, we are seeing impacts from the tsunami. Again, this could be one wave. This could be the first of many to impact Kauai. Of course, we haven't been seeing too many impacts over at Hanalei, but this is a chart from the NOAA buoy over at Na Wili Wili. Again, we have been seeing some of the wave crests getting above 2 feet above the water level at that time. Again, we are seeing high tide right around now for most of the state, and it drops down very quickly to below 1 foot below the normal water level, so about half a foot below zero. Again, we are seeing impacts in terms of the tsunami wave right now. And again, the message here, and it's been the message all afternoon, is that this is not a one-wave event. We've seen the receding in Hanalei so far, and we've seen the water come back. We could continue to see receding, and now without light, it'll be harder to analyze, it'll be harder to really take a look at. But this is proof that we are seeing some of the impacts, at least from the buoy readings that we have so far.
All right, guys, I just got a text message from Robert Ballard from the National Weather Service, and he said the latest tsunami warning siren bulletin says 4-foot amplitude at Haleiwa, so that's 1.2 meters. So 4-foot amplitude was the latest reading that they got in Haleiwa.
And basically amplitude is like trough to crest, if I'm not mistaken. And so that's quite a bit. And we did get confirmation that the water line in that earlier live shot that we got from Haleiwa, that's where the water was. And so there was definitely a good receding of water at the Haleiwa, that looked like Ali'i Beach. I'm pretty sure that's the shoreline right at Ali'i Beach. And so the water did go down about 2 feet. Maybe it's not rushing back, but we are seeing the changes in tidal levels because of the tsunami. And again, as we're watching this live look near Dukahanamoku Beach and close to the lagoon there, waves are coming in as normal, but you can definitely see what's a high water line that did come in a little bit earlier, and we're just awaiting possibly the next receding water episode and then another wave coming in right behind that.
And Ben, because the event is here, and right now we're in the thick of it based off of the measurements that are coming in, what can we say about Hawaii's underwater topography and its impact on the surges that are coming in?
Well, it kind of depends on where you are. Like, for example, Hanalei Bay, I believe it's pretty shallow. Waimea Bay, it is shallower and possibly, but you will get a little bit more run up there. A good example, however, years ago, I remember there were people looking at Makapu'u. Makapu'u, not that deep. So if it was a big tsunami, we would see water, just basically Makapu'u emptying out and then coming back in. That would be possibly in a worst case scenario tsunami. But, those areas where there's a gentle slope underneath the water coming in, basically that spells trouble. If it is a little bit more abrupt, shall we say, like if there's cliffs like the Nepali coastline, some of those areas, the Kaiwi coastline even, for example, you may not get that much of a run up or some of that energy. But basically what we're looking at is if it is a gentle slope like Makapu'u, where it's shallower, after it gets past, the deeper water and you start hitting that area. Even Hanamo Bay could also see some higher water because you get the reef, it's a little bit deeper there, and then it hits the reef and then it'll start pushing over.
So it's been almost an hour since the first predicted waves arrived at Hanalei Bay as we take this live look, and we are expecting an update from state officials at 8:20. And until then, I guess Ben, Drew, and Jen, what kinds of data are you going to be listening in for with this upcoming update?
Thank you, Steph. Again, what we're watching now, like you mentioned, we're in the thick of it, and we are watching the buoys. We're seeing several of the buoys reporting that we're seeing amplitudes of 2 feet, much larger changes in the sea level right out there. Again, we took a look at the Na Wili Wili buoy just a little while ago and the Hanalei buoy, so we are seeing changes out there. And again, this isn't just one wave. Potentially the initial estimation was around 7:17 p.m., so it's been a little under an hour since that's happening. We've been watching very closely. We've seen water recede, but we're watching the buoys now. The first wave may not be the biggest. It could be the second or third wave. We've seen water recede, and a lot of water receded in Hanalei pretty quickly, and the water came back in pretty quickly after that. Ben, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, when the water came back in, it looked kind of gentle, but remember that's energy again, the whole ocean energy coming in. It's not just the surface. And so the concern that we have, once more, the currents, and Steph, as you were talking about earlier, we're talking about the currents that can cause damage. Over at La Mariana Harbor, that's when we saw boats getting pulled from their moorings, crashing into the piers, crashing into each other, those sorts of things. And so that is still a danger, and you definitely don't want to be caught in that particular energy because, if you've ever been in a rip current, and I hope you never have, you get caught in it. This is going to be like a whole bunch of different currents. It's basically a stirring up of the water. And you asked earlier, Mark, about the behavior underneath. Like if you go to pipeline right now, probably there's going to be water all Kapakai at the moment, just all over the place. Currents are going to be just going in every which way. And so it's a very dangerous time to be in the water, but also on the shoreline and also along channels, rivers, streams, those areas, because you could still have energy that's going to be coming in through the rivers. And so just stay a good distance. We're seeing about 100 feet just in case. Yeah, that's good.
And like you mentioned, on the Hanalei cam, when we were watching the water recede, there was very different movements in the currents right before the water receded. We could see water moving out, moving in. So again, strong currents being created by these tsunamis. And just behind me, Ben, I do want to show the Na Wili Wili buoy again. This is the most latest look. You can see the red right here is the typical water level. Typically, when you see water levels at buoys, you use them to track high tide and low tide. High tide and low tide. Of course, we're not seeing that right now because if you look at the end of this, we have this really big shock in terms of the water level. The buoy is going up and down very quickly. Again, this is a snapshot from about 10 minutes ago, so we might be seeing an updated look at that coming up here in a little bit. We'll make sure to show you that, but I do want to say that this may be the first wave of many. Again, this is Na Wili Wili. This is on the over in Kauai County. We were taking a look at Haleiwa as well. So a lot can change. We're still, as Steph has mentioned, in the thick of it. The initial prediction, 7:17 p.m. We haven't seen a large wave come in yet that's really impacted, but we have seen receding in Hanalei. We've seen receding over in Haleiwa. So a lot to watch still.
Yeah, we haven't. We don't know what the situation is like at Haleiwa Harbor, Alawai Boat Harbor. Obviously, not safe to go there right now. But we're just trying to see. We'll determine a little bit later just how many people took their vessels out into the open ocean. A little bit earlier, we did talk to one of the boaters. His boat was already on, basically on the trailer, getting ready to evacuate that way. And he was talking about how some of the other vessel owners were heading out to sea just because you don't want to be in that mess. Kind of like being in a washing machine in a way, but that would be the best way to kind of describe what's going on. And then in areas like the bays and some of the harbors, you're going to get that pull of the water and you're going to get that push of the water once again. And that's what we've been also seeing in Hanalei Bay.
Yeah, and here's another look. This is a snapshot from a little while ago from Sand Island in the Midway Islands, so over near Midway Atoll. Again, this data is a little bit outdated, but it is just a look at, you can see the tsunami wave again. Ben, if you just point out where that shock is, again, up and down very quickly. That's how the buoys work. They're used to measure the high tide and low tide out there. And they're a very great tool to give us kind of an idea of how large these tsunami waves are. And again, the message is it's not just one wave, and we're going to continue watching it very closely.
Yeah, but just so you know, this is one of the pieces of data that we use when we have, for example, king tides, because the blue line is basically your normal water level. The red line is the actual recorded water level. And so you see how it's supposed to be gentle. We had a high tide coming, but you have don't. So that almost tells me 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 waves. First one may have been the biggest one, and they get smaller. But again, this is just a snapshot. Later data may come in, and then we may just get maybe another bigger wave once again.
And a great reminder that this is coinciding with high tide right now. So the wave, the tsunami wave, the column of water riding on top of the actual sea level is riding on top of high tide, which is already elevated. So it makes it a little bit more of concern. That's it for Ben and I at the weather desk. Let's send it back to Mark and Steph at the anchor desk.
Ben and Drew, thank you very much. Very useful, very critical information as we are tracking this. We are approaching about an hour since the first activity that we saw at Hanalei Bay. So far, we've seen water levels recede both at Hanalei, Nahawiliwili, and Haleiwa as well as we're tracking this.
That's right, and we just got word that we are going to get another update from Pacific Tsunami Warning Center officials in just a bit. But before then, we want to turn things over now to our reporter Dylan Ancheta, who is live on Maui for us. Dylan.
Aloha, thank you so much. I am located at the Wailuku Community Center. This is one of a number of gyms that have opened here on Maui. And I can tell you that the atmosphere here is rather relaxed. People are calm. People are kind of just waiting to hear what is going on. There are a lot of kupuna members here at this shelter. I would say there's about 50 to 60 or so people between the inside and the outside. Some community members have said that many other people chose other shelters to go to, but here at the Wailuku Community Center, people are kind of just hanging out and waiting to hear any updates, any news. There is also some concern that Red Cross officials are here, but they don't have a lot of supplies, not a lot of water, not a lot of snacks. So if you are going, or if you are at one of those shelters, hopefully you have brought your own. They do allow pets at the shelters here, and so I was here earlier today when the last siren alert went off. There's one just outside this building here, and that was quite loud, quite noticeable. And I spoke to some people earlier in the day as I just got to this shelter. I've been here for a couple hours now. Here's what they said. Aloha from the Wailuku Community Center. This is one of several spots that have opened as official shelters here in Maui County. I'm joined by Kathleen, Joseph, Mary, and Maria. They are here riding out this impending tsunami. First off, how are you folks feeling today?
Scared. This out of all that I've been through with all the tsunami warnings, this kind of feel really more like it's bound to happen, and I'm hoping it doesn't. Praying a lot for our homes, especially those who live close right next to the beach, which I do. So
and I want to ask, as Maui residents, were you folks prepared for this? Were you ready to pack up and go, or are you just kind of winging it here tonight?
We're just kind of winging it because this is not something we're used to, and there are only so many roads on Maui. So for example, for me to call Joe and let him know we just got this warning, so you need to leave Kihei now because there's only 2 roads in and out, and he felt he had more time, but we're just, it's like we're winging it. It's not something that we would have planned. It's a better prepare ourselves this time, and the traffic is horrible.
Maria, you just came from inside the shelter. How many people are in there right now, and kind of set the scene for us?
There's probably about 50 of them. Yeah, yes. I was like, let's go, because I was afraid that we're not going to have space. Yeah, but it's pretty good. It has AC, and at least we get bathroom here. But yeah, I'm kind of like scared.
And Joe, I want to ask you, how are you feeling through all of this?
I feel like I'm feeling, especially when like, what, a tsunami coming, you gotta go get this and go get this and go get this. At the end I came out, I forgot the spam and the toilet paper.
That's the first thing I told my friend. I said, hey, you need toilet paper, hand towels, water. That's it.
So right now, without the supplies of the shelter, what supplies do you folks personally have?
We were so unprepared for this that when Joe picked me up at work and we went right up the road to Kalui Food Line, which is like a 5-minute drive, and picked up whatever we could grab, and everything was pretty much sold out, deli and all that. So we grabbed a little bit of sushi, sandwich, and that was all we could get. And it took us an hour and a half from there to get back to the center that I work at. 5-minute drive. Took us an hour and a half, and just to go and get my car and then head over here. So we didn't get much.
That is a wild drive time. And lastly, Mary, I want to ask you, I mean, you mentioned you have the trailer. What was it like for you to evacuate?
Prepared with everything in the trailer right now, that my personal belongings are my clothes, my ice box, but my brand new freezer that I brought 3 weeks ago. It's gonna take a loss because it's in the garage back home. And that's about it. Other than that, beddings, everything, the whole trailer. And my brothers and my family, my sisters and my brothers are happy that I invested in this. And you know, it's the biggest place to park it right now is at Popohaku. And yeah, prepared with everything in the trailer.
Absolutely.
We are so grateful and glad for all the early warning, all the sirens that go off that let us know. So we are definitely prepared in that way, and that they're keeping us informed and aware of what's going on.
Absolutely, and that is the latest from the people here on the Valley Isle. I thank you all so much for sharing your thoughts on this. The nerves are unsettled, so to speak, but the people of Maui often look out for each other and take care of each other. And we are here once again at the Wailuku Community Center, which is one of the shelters here tonight. And now I understand we have a press conference with Haima. Let's go ahead and send things back to the studio.
So much, Dylan and Cheto, for reporting for us live on Maui. But unfortunately, we are still trying to get that live shot up right now. We're having some technical difficulties.
Yeah, we're trying to pull up a signal right now. This would be a live news conference. An update from Haima. Governor Josh Green and state emergency officials will be briefing us on the latest of the situation. We are still rolling on the news conference. So although we may not be taking it live right now, we will be bringing it to you in its entirety when we do get that up and running. In the meantime, let's give you a shot from our live cam overlooking Waikiki right now. One of the only shots as we're scrolling through our Rolodex of live cams that still has lighting and can give us some real-time context on what is happening with this tsunami event right now. Something that is happening during this time, you take a very close look at what is happening with the water line and the activity there and how it's going back and forth.
And we want to go live now to our chief meteorologist, Jennifer Robbins, who has the latest initial readings that just came in. Jen, what can you tell us?
We are looking at the initial readings, so this is probably something that they're going to go over in the press conference. Haleiwa, 4 feet in amplitude per 12 minutes. Hanalei was 3 feet in amplitude per 20 minutes. Midway, as we got that initial reading, 3 feet with lots of force behind it. I just want to take a closer look at what this means and what this data actually means. So when we're talking about amplitude, it's measured relative to normal sea level. So it is not crest to trough wave. And that's what we're seeing with these initial readings here. And the period of time is in minutes for one wave to the next. So that's what we're seeing. So we're certainly seeing lots of energy move around the islands, and that's why we are under a tsunami warning. Now, for
rock and sand, that gave us pause. That doesn't happen for no reason. When the water pulls back like that, that means there's activity in the ocean. So again, we keep our fingers crossed that we don't suffer a big tsunami. Again, people have been very thoughtful and very safe, and that's something we appreciate. Aloha.
Oh boy.
Aloha.
Everything's
like the governor said,
news.
there is energy in the ocean. There were small measurements of smaller waves, and they want to see, the scientists are telling us, we want to see a few of them to know that we're in the clear. So the window is still 2 to 3 hours that we're watching this energy in the Pacific Ocean. So the counties have opened shelters and places of refuge. If the citizens need it, they can use that. We're postured to support those shelters with wraparound services if needed. There's also Red Cross that's standing by. There's and it's really this sense of aloha in the state. Family Promise of Hawaii, they're reaching and leaning forward to say that they can help folks. If the public needs assistance, we'll post their phone number and.
After that press conference, so far so good, as we are going to be in good shape if we continue this trend. So Haleiwa, the biggest in amplitude, we're talking about 4 feet per 12 minutes. So that's with the wave energy that we're seeing. Hanalei, 3 feet in amplitude per 20 minutes.
3 feet.
Initial readings that we saw over in Midway at 3 feet with lots of force behind it. Right now, we're not seeing a whole lot of coastal flooding, but we are seeing a lot of energy over the waters and lots of movement as well. So the movement that we'll continue to see at night, you could actually see this was the initial readings, anywhere from 0.2 or 0.1 to 0.3 meters. So that would be just about a foot or so. And then 1 to 2 meters up to like more than 3 feet that was initially expected. And that's what we're seeing with some of these initial waves, about 4 feet. And Haleiwa was the biggest. And just to take a closer look, the time of the measurement is what we're seeing. Amplitude, tsunami amplitude is measured relative to the normal sea level. So it's not crest to trough wave heights that we're given here. And per period, we're talking about the time in minutes from one wave to the
Tsunami
next.
just hit the second
So
tower.
example, like.
What does that even mean?
Again, a warning is the one that we need to be on the lookout for.
2010, it was only about 3 feet when it comes to the wave heights during that time. So it highly depends on the direction as it travels over the ocean, a lot of elements as it comes our way. But here's a friendly reminder, the power of water. Usually we talk about this when we get a lot of flooding from rain, but 1 foot can pick up cars, 2 feet can move SUVs and heavy trucks. And the power of water is substantial when it comes to this tsunami energy. We'll take a deeper look at all of these elements coming together in a little bit, but first, back to you guys.
All right, thank you so much, Jen, for that important information as we continue to await the information just released from Pacific Tsunami Warning Center officials there. But as we take a live look now at this Waikiki camera live view, you can see, just as Governor Green mentioned, another positive thing that came out of this event is that everybody heeded the warning.
Birds be freaking out, bro. That's a post-apocalypse shit. Look at this. They're like, we gotta fly higher. We gotta fly higher, gentlemen. What's up?
It's 37.
Yeah, did you hear about the Hawaii thing? Yeah. Did you hear that Oprah, there's a road that Oprah, a private road that Oprah owns that she could open that she's not opening? Therefore, it increases, like, I'm telling you, it is. Like, come here, look at this. This is the difference. This is, I don't know, it's not with me. This is.
Yeah, I've taken this fucking road before.
Yeah, but this is her road.
Yeah.
She could open that.
You should be able to do that.
But this road.
That's ridiculous because you actually go through like uninhabited fucking jungle. It's not even like a fucking road. I took it one time.
Yeah.
15 years ago. Maybe it's open now.
And plus, it's all by the coast, so like you're not even out of danger until you get to right here.
Good. I hope they shit all over her. Where's your white baby?
Yeah, it's not here. It's not here. It's in the kitchen or somewhere. It's not.
Oh, I'll let it baby juice up.
Give it to me. You got the white one out there.
No, I'm buying that white.
Oh, you will? Okay, perfect. No, find it for me. You said you would. Don't lie to me. I don't know. Should be on the counter. Can you go check? Come on. Okay, good. Perfect. Oh no, I'm gonna keep it.
No, you're not. I found it. I get to keep it.
No,
It's mine anyway.
I found it. It was
No,
in
you
my
didn't.
pocket.
No, it wasn't. It was right there.
It was in my pocket, and then I put it
No,
there.
you did not. So who's talking shit about Oprah? Everybody?
Everybody. This guy, Nick Sorter guy. I mean, it's shitty. Yeah, she is. And it's like, these are the motherfuckers who are telling, oh, invite all the illegal immigrants in. Oh, but whenever you can open up a road to save lives, you won't. Because why? Because they're gonna get near your fucking property? She just don't want, she just don't, I don't know. She's trying to buy all of Hawaii. Yeah. Like, it's this massive land, and she won't let any public roads be built on it. Yeah, she really is. Yeah, they're like, oh, and then she had this one thing where she's like, donate to the victims of Maui for some kind of catastrophe. But it's like, oh, but yeah. But now it's like, oh, well, whenever you can just keep that shit from happening. Oprah did not prepare me for how evil Oprah was. Yeah, but I mean, to be honest, they say it's gonna be like 3 meters. Oh! Climb on top of a rock. Maybe there's some I don't know. They're like, oh, it's raised 3 feet. And it's like, okay, well, nobody's in, there's no catastrophe yet. And if it's already raised 33% of the whole height it's supposed to get, I think we'll all be okay. You might lose, like, your house might get flooded, but it ain't the end of the world. I guess I'll go find the bait myself. Did you show him my song? Hell no, I knew you would. Found it. Oh, damn, I'm still streaming. Okay.